honestly, it looks like my mom did a lot of cooking here. Let's see what I can have. I'm supposed to have some eggs and potatoes. Honestly, she made some bread. Kind of smells like a sweeter kind of bread, but it's tempting to have that. But I'll probably just stick to tomorrow. Honestly, guys, I'm really not in the mood to eat. I've actually kind of got a headache. I don't know, but I'm just gonna have a protein bar because I'm really not in the mood to be standing around cooking a bunch. And yeah, I just did legs, and that leg workout was super tough. Super worth it though. Again, still messing around with that low volume training. Yeah, it just felt great, man. I opened up with some seated leg curls, did one top set to failure, and then I did a drop set where I dropped the weight slightly, so I dropped it by like 2 or 3, I think, no, sorry, two pins, or 2 clicks for my gym, and I went to failure on that, and I think I got like somewhere around 5 clean reps and then another 3 partials. So technically beyond failure for that set. And then I applied the same thing basically for all the rest of my sets. So a top set to failure plus a drop set with slightly less weight. To failure again with the drop set, but then the drop set is much less reps. It's more like half the reps that I do for my top set because my top set's anywhere from really 10 to 12, 8 to 12. Sometimes if I miscalculate the weight, 15, but it's usually 12 clean reps and then maybe like 3 partials if anything, or 3 like with a little bit of swinging to finish off the other 3 reps. So second exercise was here, let me take out the protein bar. I don't think I actually showed you guys, but I ended up, so when you make natural protein bars, I think because you don't have chemicals in your protein bar, they don't really like hold their consistency, I find. If you just stick them in the fridge and you try to eat them, they're gonna be super sticky. So with the fact that they're gonna be so sticky, you have to freeze them. I think if I were to coat this in chocolate and then put it in the fridge, maybe it would hold its consistency because you have that outer layer of chocolate. To be honest with you, when it's frozen like this, if you literally wait like 3 minutes, and when I say 3 minutes, I mean like a true 3 minutes, it's pretty well good to eat. Now the bar is going to be a little bit cold, obviously, and the center is going to be a little bit hard, but it's by no means like frozen. It's not frozen like Elsa. Like it's straight up good to eat. So it's super quick, and so it doesn't look super appetizing because you can imagine like chocolate protein powder with oats mixed together is not the greatest look. But anyways, like this is the bar in here. I just cut up some pieces of parchment paper, and that's the wrapper for it, so you don't have to get your hands all messy. And so they can separate obviously and not all stick together in the freezer. And so yeah, I'm just gonna eat this for dinner. That's 200 calories. If I have a little bit of extra calories, I might just snack on something, or maybe even just treat myself to like a serving of frozen yogurt. Honestly, I'm just not super big appetite right now. I might actually as well have a little bit of like, I typically have this drink that I don't think I've shown you guys, but it's this fruit immune drink that my mom makes. So what I'll do is what I typically do is I take this juice, and she makes it with like pulp, because she just grinds up like a ton of, or blends up a bunch of fruits plus ginger. So it's the ginger plus all the fruits, obviously, which are good for you, healthy for you, got a bunch of nutrients. But especially with that ginger, it's really like an immune juice is what we call it, or at least I call it that. And so I actually take a little bit of this every day. I don't track it in my calories, so you guys will never see it in there. So I'm gonna strain this here so I get rid of the pulp, because if you drink it with the pulp, honestly, it feels like you're choking, which up until recently, I always used to drink it with the pulp. But I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna strain it. And then after straining it one day, I've never went back to drinking it with the pulp at least. So that's pretty well strained there. And so I take it a step further, and what I do is I take creatine, guys, as a supplement. And the creatine is super chalky, obviously, and you can't really like enjoy creatine in the powder form, like when you scoop it as a powder. Some people can take it as tablets, and some people take it like mix it in with their pre and stuff like that, but I don't really take pre-workout. There's some apple cider vinegar. So again, making this kind of my immune juice. I'll throw a little bit of apple cider vinegar in here. And then I get all the boost of nutrients from the juice. And then I chuck the creatine powder into this and I mix it up. And then that's how I get my creatine in without having to like dry scoop a chalk powder, basically, because creatine has no flavor when it's the unflavored one, obviously, and it's just chalky, right? And if you're downing chalk consistently, then like you're not gonna be, if you can find a way to skip it a day, you're gonna skip it because it's not enjoyable to take. So if you find a way to make things enjoyable, and this really goes for your diet in general too, like if healthy eating, if you don't pick stuff that's healthy but you also like, then if you have an excuse to skip it and not do it, you will take yourself up on that excuse. So I found something that works for me and something that I can be consistent with, and I suggest you guys do the same thing. So this is how I get my creatine, and also, like I said, that immunity boost with the fruits, the ginger, and the apple cider vinegar. So I'm gonna have this alongside the dinner to kind of just help fill me up as well. But yeah, just not super hungry, not feeling the greatest, but you know, we move on, and it is what it is. And enjoyed my leg workout, at least. It was hard to make it through. I almost didn't want to go to the gym, but I'm glad I went, which is typically how it goes, right? And just to finish off that thought, guys, so I told you I started with the seated ham curl. I moved to the leg extension after, and then I did stiff-legged deadlifts. And I did them on the guided machine that we have at our gym. If you guys go to a Fit for Less, you'll know what I mean. It's not the Smith machine, but it's like not quite a free weight. It's still kind of like guided in like a plane of motion, and guided with like these safety bars, basically, to help stabilize the bar a little bit better, and keep it in like a track. Like it can move backwards. And technically, if you were off balance, you could fall back, but it stops within like a certain track. So it's like somewhat assisted, but it's not like a Smith where it only goes up and down and doesn't move back and forward. So in my sciatic, I think I told you guys my sciatic nerve area has kind of like been bugging me lately. And honestly, that's not fully healed yet. So I didn't go very heavy on the stiff-legged deadlifts. I just stimulated my hamstrings, then I just called it a day. On those, I was gonna do a little more ham curls, but honestly, I was so exhausted at the end that I just didn't bother. And I feel like I got a pretty good stimulation with the stiff-legged deadlifts, even though I didn't go heavy at all, because it really started to flare up my sciatic area. I was able to just go slow and control the ham curls, and I think they did the trick. And then after that, I went into some of the hack squats, which felt pretty good. And then I did split squats, so like the one-legged lunge where you put your back foot on the bench and you lunge. And then I did one top set with that, and then I dropped it and actually did a back off set. So I did 2 sets with that one, and on the second set, so I went to failure on both sets, and then I did like a drop set where I dropped the dumbbells and just did body weight to failure. So I basically did 2 sets with the drop set on the last set for that one. So a little bit more volume on that exercise. Just trying to build up the glutes a little bit more. I especially find that when I diet down, I can tend to lose that area, and I want to keep that muscle there because you want to have like the complete look, and you get a lot of power from your glutes, so I want to keep that area. What else did I do? I did calves at the end. I just did that leg press machine with the cable. I just did 2 legs for 2 sets to failure, and then I did single leg as well. I was gonna go do the seated calf raise, but I just decided to stick on the leg press one, just because I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do one-legged calf raises as well, because I find that my left calf is a little bit smaller than my right, so I figured just split them up so they can work independently and I can even things out a little bit. And I was gonna do some adductor, but I completely forgot, and I was so exhausted that I just called it a day at that. But I'm pretty happy with that, and you do use a lot of adductor when you do other leg exercises for stabilization. But it's still good to train your adductors, I think. Like, it's just like how people say, like, oh, your muscle is getting hit secondary with a lot of like compound exercises, but unless you have really good genetics for that muscle group, you should still be training that muscle group directly. So for example, like your triceps get indirectly hit when you do a lot of bench press, but like you're probably going to want to still train your triceps. Otherwise you're going to find that your triceps start lagging. Even though you can feel a good burn in your triceps when you do bench. Unless you got like supreme genetics, then obviously you probably still need to train triceps, but just not a lot. So same thing with your adductors, like even though they're used for a lot of leg exercises to stabilize, you should still train them a little bit. With that said, I didn't train them, but next time hopefully I'll remember. I got all my exercises that I should be doing and the sets that I usually aim for written down on my phone, so I think I'm gonna be more diligent in between sets to kind of just glance at it just to make sure I don't forget anything. Because some days, you know, not every day is the same. And I can vary up my workouts too. Like, it doesn't have to be the exact number of sets that I write down. If I'm feeling that day of doing something slightly different, I'll do something slightly different. Because at the end of the day, I'm in the gym, yes, to look good, to be healthy, to blah, blah, blah. But I'm also there because I love it and I just want to have fun. And if you're in there doing something, it's better than nothing. And no matter what, you're going to get better, you're going to get healthier if you're in the gym doing something. So it was just a reminder to myself recently to not take it so seriously and just to take a step back. And ever since doing that, honestly, I've been having a lot more fun, which is key if you want to be consistent in the long term. So yeah, just gonna have this, guys, and if you see something else in the meal for dinner, that means I had something else, but I'll just snack on this, see where the calories are, and possibly I can have something else small. So yeah, gonna eat this and enjoy it, and hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.